Today in Disciple Making Movement Essentials video number 9, I'm actually going to do 2 parts to this video. In the first part, I want to introduce 3 tools that we can use in spiritual conversations. And then in the second part, I'm going to talk about 2 ways we can get quickly into a spiritual conversation and even be able to use those tools. So first, 3 tools for spiritual conversations. And again, if you've seen the previous video about the 4 fields, we are now in field 2, which is where we talk about the gospel or what God's done in our lives. So the 3 tools are, first, we want to share your story or your testimony. Second, you can share God's story or the gospel. And then third, you can share a story from Scripture, just of how God has worked throughout the Bible. So, first of these tools, your story. We challenge friends to share this in 15 seconds or less. My testimony in 15 seconds or less is, there was a time in my life when I was very selfish and insecure. And then someone helped me understand about Jesus, how that He had forgiven me, and I chose to follow Him. And now I feel like I have more peace and a purpose worth living for. Do you have a story like that? If you don't worry. In the comment section of this video is the link to a great clean training video where you can learn how to share your 15-second story. And you can also use that to train others to share their 15-second testimony or build their 15-second story of how God's worked in their lives. Why 15 seconds? What we want to do is we want to aim for something that's a sound bite that somebody, anybody would listen to. If you go much longer than that, you probably need to have permission, and you might even need a pulpit in order to start preaching. But all we're wanting to do is just see if there's any spiritual interest there. And a 15-second testimony does just that. It shows how that God has worked in your life. We also find that testimony is a very relatable thing. That people will hear something in your story that often they can relate to. The Spirit of God will use them to relate to, and it can show how God could work in their life. So, your testimony, God's story, or the gospel. I'm not going to go in depth in this video, but in the comment section there is a link to a great training video on what's called the 3 circles illustration. It's what we use here in San Antonio. Even as I look at my phone I'm recording on right now, there's a sticker with the 3 circles illustration on the back of my phone. And so if I share my 15 seconds testimony and ask, do you have a story like that? And they say, no, I don't. Then I can turn over my phone. I can say, would you want to see an illustration that talks about how you could have a story like that? And then I can share that and help them decide if they want to come into the family of God or not. Again, this is all in the training video. Please do check it out and practice this. It's a great way to share what God has done in and through Jesus. The third tool that we like to use is what's called just stories from the Scriptures. And so the way I like to use this, it could be with a stranger or with my family. I'll just say, to somebody, hey, I just read this story the other day with a few friends. It's from the Bible. Do you have 2 or 3 minutes just to hear it and tell me what you think? And I find that most people have time to hear a story. If they don't, they'll let you know. But it's an easy way to talk about or get into a spiritual conversation with friends who may be far from God. So 3 tools: your testimony, God's story, the gospel, and then stories from Scripture. I would encourage you to go ahead and practice these in these training links in the comment section. And then pray that God gives you the chance to be able to share your story or God's story or both with a friend, maybe who is near to you, but perhaps you don't know, maybe far from God, that you can do that the next day or 2. In the next video, I'm going to talk about 2 ways it's just really easy to get into conversations using these tools. So thanks for watching, and I hope this blessed you.